students. I am Ishan Trivedi, Assistant Professor, Civil Engineering Department. Welcome you in the video lecture series. Today we are going to discuss about Principle of Building Planning. Topics to be covered in these sessions are roominess, grouping, circulation and flexibility. Whereas in previous session I have talked about aspect, prospect and privacy. Let us start with roominess. Roominess means getting maximum benefits from the minimum dimension of the room. The effect of roominess depends on the relative dimension of length, width and height of room. In residential building, we have seen that the height of room is restricted. In residential building, we have seen that the height of room is of 3 meter. So in this roominess, we are going to talk about length and width. The planner has to see that every nook and corner of the room is used to derive maximum benefits. In dwelling units where considerable storage space is required, planning of wall cupboards, loft, shelves, etc. done for the greater advantage. The shape and size of a room are also very important for roominess. A rectangular room has more roominess when compared to the same area. The length to width ratio of 1.2 to 1.5 is desirable. Now understand this length to width ratio and how the rectangular room has more roominess than the same area of square room. So this will be shown in the figure. In this figure, let us take a square having its dimension A. As it is square in shape, the total area is A cross A. That is square room, which is not preferred. But with the same area, let us take a rectangular room having its length A and width B. So the final area will be A cross B, which has been preferred. Now this illustration will be explained in terms of numbers or figures. If I take a square room of 144 square feet, so the area of one dimension is for square room is 12 by 12 feet, whereas for the rectangular room the area is of 144, which I am fixing that, and finalize the dimension of 14.4 by 10 square feet. So its width is 14.4 feet and its length is 10 feet. So ultimately the area is 144 square feet. Here, by providing this dimension, I am satisfying the roominess ratio, that is of 1.2 to 1.5. If I take the ratio of this two dimension, that is of 14.4 divided by 10, then it will be less than 1.5 and greater than 1.2. And thus I am satisfying the roominess ratio. So how can you remember this roominess ratio? You have to remember in this manner, like maximum dimension upon minimum dimension. Here the maximum dimension is 14.4 square feet and the minimum dimension is 10 square feet. So I am dividing 14.4 square feet divided by 10 feet and I am getting the ratio of 1.44, which is less than 1.5 and greater than 1.2. Again I am satisfying the roominess ratio. So this is how you have to perform while determining the plot size as well as the dimension of a room. The small rooms should not have more ceiling height to avoid cavernous effect, and small room with more ceiling height appears to be smaller than the actual size. You have seen that in many of the rooms, as the ceiling heights are more, you feel like a tunnel because the length, width and height is these elements are not in a proportion. At the same time, a small room with higher ceiling height, we feel like the things are closer to each other, and thus it seems like the room is smaller than its actual size. So this is the fundamental of roominess as a part of principle of building plan. Next is grouping. It is planning of two or more related rooms in the proximity of each other. It minimizes the length of circulation and at the same time it improves the comfort, privacy, convenience of inmates of the house. Now let us understand the consideration of grouping of various elements of a building. Veranda adjacent to drawing room. The benefits by providing veranda adjacent to drawing room is when the visitors are more in number, they can accommodate on veranda and you can deal with those visitors by creating a barrier from entering the room. The stranger can be received on the veranda itself. The furniture from the drawing room can be temporarily placed on veranda if you find it necessary. Next is grouping of dining room close to the kitchen. The advantage by providing such arrangement so that it permits easy serving of dishes in a desirable state whether it is hot or cold, and odor and smoke from the kitchen kept off from the other rooms. Next is association of bedroom, toilet and dressing room. It creates better privacy. You have seen that in bedroom there is an access of toilet or bathroom from the bedroom. That is called master bedroom. The aim of creating master bedroom is to achieve better privacy. Next is bathroom associate with water closet. It saves the length of water supply, pipeline and drainage pipeline as both the units are adjacent to each other. Next is kitchen and backyard. It minimizes the length of circulation. In general way, the staircase should be centrally located and easily accessible from drawing room. You have seen in many cases that in a ground floor, the staircase location is being provided in such a way that one can have access from bedroom, from living room, from kitchen or from the dining room, so that there will be equal distribution of the circulation length. Next is the water closet should be away from dining room, and this is mainly to get privacy of sound and the psychological feeling of being away from the place at time of eating. So this is the grouping of various elements which ultimately helps in principle of building plan. Next is circulation. It is access into or out from a room. It is internal movement inside a building and the area embarked for it. It is the space used for getting comfortable communication from one room to another room, from one floor to another floor. Circulation inside the house should be straight, short, bright, lightened both day and night and well ventilated. Remember this, the circulation inside the house should be straight and short. Let us understand by simple illustration. Here you can see in case A that the circulation is being provided in lengthwise, which is shorter path, and you will get the maximum utility area so that you can accommodate furniture in this particular area, and the access will be shortened and straight. In the next case, if I provide circulation at the centrally located, then the utility area will be bifurcated and it will be distributed on the other side. You will get the benefit of circulation, but here you cannot achieve the privacy and even you cannot place the furniture. The third is if I provide circulation by width, then the length of circulation will be high. You will get the utility area at one end, but the length is increased. And the last is if I provide a circulation at both the cross end of a room, like either side you can see the door is placed one end corner and the other one is at the other corner, then the circulation area is bifurcated. You cannot decide the circulation path. Either one can go from here and one can go from the other side. Ultimately, the length of circulation is increased and you will not get utility area in a proper manner, and that is ultimately poor planning of arrangement of furniture. So you have to remember that the utility area is of maximum and the circulation area is of straight and shorten. The circulation of a building is classified in a two types, that is horizontal circulation and vertical circulation. Let us understand horizontal circulation. It is the movement within the same floor. It is facilitated by means of verandas, corridors, halls and lobbies. The passages should never be narrow, dark, zigzag or winding and should be free from obstructions. We have tendency to put vase or certain household objects in the circulation path. It has to be avoided. The window shutter should never be flung open into passage. It has been said that the area of horizontal circulation is 20% to 25% of total plan area of a residential building. So this is what the horizontal circulation. Now vertical circulation. It is the movement from one floor to another floor in multi-story building. It is facilitated by means of stairs, ramps, elevators, or you can say lift and escalators. The staircase is common in small residential building and lifts are must in addition to staircase when the number of stories are more than 3. The lift is to be provided near to the staircase. The stairs are to be provided with smooth handrails for easy ascent and descent. It should be well ventilated both day and night. The ramps are common for movement of heavy objects like cars going up in the multi-story building. The area of circulation or area of vertical circulation is 8 to 10% of total plan area of the residential building. So this is the circulation of principle of building plan. Next is flexibility. It is ease with which a room planned for one function can be used for the other if so required. Room designed for a particular activity can accommodate more load temporary or sometimes may supplement activities of another room. For example, drawing room being used as a bedroom for guests. Kitchen can be used as an additional dining room. Even student study room can also be used as a puja room. If rooms are big enough, like more than 15 meter square area and have minimum width of 3 meter, they are more flexible and activities of various rooms can be easily exchanged. A bigger drawing room, more number of rooms and verandas offer better flexibility. Independent access to bath and toilet offer maximum flexibility. Flexible planning is very important for building and commercial buildings. If a particular building is designed for a school, it may be temporarily used to accommodate fire accident victims. Even in natural calamities like tsunami or high flood, you can utilize those school building or public building as a shelter for those victimized people. I'm ending this session here. I hope you have learned few principles of building planning. Thanks for watching this video.